There is a growth of childcare and early education provision that is purely in the for-profit sector, and that is being driven by very large companies. And those large groups, certainly in England and in the rest of the UK, charge very high fees and make it very difficult for parents on low incomes to pay for childcare hours. So our research centre's focus is very much on what happens to children in low-income families or children who are growing up with other forms of disadvantage, whether those children can get access to all forms of provision everywhere around the country. One of the recent projects that have been particularly enjoyable has been working with the government in the Republic of Ireland on a funding model for their quite new early education and childcare system. We made 25 recommendations to the Minister for Children. Yes, Ireland has a Minister for Children, which is wonderful. Wish we had one. And he presented those recommendations to the Cabinet, and then they were recommended and they were accepted, and 25 recommendations were accepted for how to fund. And the levels of funding that were being put into the system and are now being put into the system are quite high. And one of the interesting components of that funding system now is core funding. That is funding that goes directly to the providers of the early childhood education and care services to help them with delivering the service. It is not what is done here and in many other countries per capita funding, that is, the money follows the child. But it is for running a service that is ready for children to come in. And very much one of the conditions attached to that funding is that the pay and conditions of the workers, the practitioners in those childcare businesses, that these are improved. Because in Ireland, as in England, as in many other countries, the pay of childcare workers, early years practitioners, whatever they're called, is extremely low. Now in England, that is a contrast with the pay of the qualified early years teachers who work in schools, in nursery classes in schools. So there are huge divides within the workforce, just as there are huge splits within the system itself.